The Zodiac Killer, the unsolved mystery that still haunts America. In the late 1960s, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, terrorizing Northern California with a series of brutal murders. He called himself the Zodiac, a name that would haunt America for decades. With cryptic letters and chilling ciphers, he taunted the police, daring them to catch him. But they never did. Welcome to Unsolved Secrets, where we unravel the world's darkest mysteries. Today, we read diving into the enigma of the Zodiac Killer, a case that still sends shivers down the spine. If you're ready to explore this chilling mystery, hit that subscribe button and let's begin. The Zodiac Killer emerged during a turbulent time in American history, casting a shadow over Northern California in the late 1960s. His reign of terror began in 1968, and by the time it slowed in 1969, he had claimed at least 5 lives, though he boasted of killing as many as 37. The Zodiac didn't just murder. He turned his crimes into a twisted game, targeting young couples in isolated spots, often lovers' lanes, where they felt safe, until he struck. His first confirmed attack came on December 20th, 1968, in Benicia, California. Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, 2 teenagers on a date, were parked on Lake Herman Road when a car pulled up beside them. Without warning, the driver opened fire, killing Betty instantly and leaving David clinging to life. He died on the way to the hospital. The brutality shocked the small community, but it was only the beginning. What set the Zodiac apart wasn't just his violence, it was his mind. He craved attention, sending letters to newspapers filled with cryptic messages and ciphers that baffled even the sharpest minds. These letters, often signed with a chilling crosshair symbol, became his calling card, a taunt to the police and the public alike. The Zodiac wanted the world to know he was untouchable, a phantom who could kill and vanish into the night. His crimes weren't random, they were calculated, designed to instill fear and cement his legacy as one of America's most elusive killers. But to understand the true terror of the Zodiac, we need to look closer at his attacks and the trail of blood he left behind. The Zodiac Killer's attacks were as methodical as they were terrifying, each one amplifying the fear gripping Northern California. After his first strike in Benicia, he waited just 6 months before targeting another couple. On July 4th, 1969, in Vallejo, Darlene Ferran and Michael Mageau sat in their parked car at Blue Rock Springs Park. A vehicle pulled up and a man approached, shining a flashlight into their car before opening fire. Darlene was killed instantly, but Michael survived, despite severe injuries. He later described the attacker as a stocky man, about 5'8", wearing a strange symbol, a crosshair, which would become the Zodiac's chilling signature. The killer's next move came in September 1969 at Lake Berryessa, where he targeted Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell, a young couple picnicking by the water. This time, the Zodiac wore a hooded costume with his crosshair symbol sewn onto it, adding a theatrical horror to his violence. He tied them up, then stabbed them repeatedly with a knife. Brian survived to tell the tale, but Cecilia succumbed to her wounds. The Zodiac's final confirmed kill came just weeks later, on October 11, 1969, in San Francisco. Paul Stein, a 29-year-old cab driver, picked up a passenger who shot him point blank in the head, then took a piece of Stein's bloodied shirt as a trophy. This murder showed the Zodiac's adaptability. He wasn't confined to lover-s lanes or couples. Each attack deepened the public's dread, as the killer seemed to strike at will, leaving behind no clues, only chaos. But the Zodiac wasn't done playing his game. He wanted the world to hear his voice, and he had a sinister way to make that happen. The Zodiac Killer didn't just want to kill, he wanted to be heard. Starting in August 1969, he began sending letters to newspapers like the San Francisco Chronicle, each one a twisted performance of his ego, signed with his crosshair symbol. These letters were filled with taunts, threats, and cryptic ciphers that turned his crimes into a public spectacle. In his first major letter, he included the 408 cipher, a code split into 3 parts and sent to different papers. When a school teacher and his wife cracked it, the message was chilling. I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest. The words revealed a mind consumed by sadistic pleasure, but the Zodiac wasn't done. He sent more ciphers, including the infamous 340 cipher, which stumped experts for over 50 years. It wasn't until December 2020 that a team of codebreakers finally solved it, uncovering another message. "I'm not afraid of the gas chamber," the Zodiac wrote, mocking the police while claiming more victims. Beyond the ciphers, his letters were laced with arrogance. He demanded they be published on the front page, or he'd kill again. One letter even included a piece of Paul Stein's bloodied shirt, proving his involvement in the cab driver's murder. The Zodiac's messages weren't just a way to gloat. They were a psychological weapon, spreading fear across California and beyond. Each letter deepened the mystery, making the public and the police feel powerless against a killer who seemed to revel in his own invincibility. But as the letters piled up, so did the questions. Who was this phantom, and how could he keep evading justice? The Zodiac killer's taunts ignited one of the largest manhunts in American history, but catching him proved to be a nightmare for law enforcement. Over the decades, police investigated more than 2,500 suspects, chasing leads that often led to dead ends. The killer's ability to strike and vanish, leaving behind minimal evidence, frustrated detectives at every turn. One of the most infamous suspects was Arthur Lee Allen, a former schoolteacher with a troubling past. Allen came under scrutiny in the early 1970s after a friend reported his suspicious behavior. He owned a watch with the Zodiac S crosshair symbol and had a history of violence. Witnesses placed him near crime scenes, and he even matched the physical description provided by survivors. But despite searches of his home and multiple interrogations, there was never enough hard evidence like fingerprints or DNA to tie him to the murders. Allen died in 1992, taking any secrets with him. In 2021, a group called the Case Breakers claimed to have identified the Zodiac as Gary Francis Post, a man who died in 2018. They pointed to anagrams in the ciphers and alleged connections to other crimes, but the FBI dismissed their findings, stating the case remained open. Other suspects, from drifters to military veterans, have been considered over the years, yet none have been definitively linked to the killings. The Zodiac's intelligence and careful planning, he wore oversized shoes to mislead footprint analysis and used different weapons, made him a ghost. As the investigation stretched on, the public grew obsessed, desperate for answers that never came. But with so many suspects and so little closure, the question lingers. Was the Zodiac ever truly close to being caught? Or is the truth still out there? More than 50 years after his first murder, the Zodiac killer's identity remains a haunting enigma, fueling countless theories. Was he a lone genius, meticulously planning each crime to evade capture? Or did he have accomplices who helped him disappear? Some believe the Zodiac stopped killing after 1969, perhaps because he died, was imprisoned for unrelated crimes, or simply chose to vanish into obscurity. Others argue he continued his spree undetected, possibly moving to another state or even another country. One chilling theory suggests the Zodiac was inspired by his own infamy, watching from the shadows as his legend grew through books, movies, and documentaries. His ciphers, some still unsolved, hint at a mind obsessed with control and riddles. Could they hold the key to his identity waiting to be cracked? The Zodiac became a symbol of the unknown, a faceless terror who exposed the limits of justice in an era before modern forensics. His ability to strike fear into an entire nation, then slip away, turned him into a dark myth. But as the decades pass, one question burns brighter than ever. Will we ever know the truth? Or will the Zodiac's secrets remain buried forever? The Zodiac killer remains one of America's most enduring mysteries, a shadow that lingers over history. His crimes, ciphers, and taunts left an indelible mark, haunting generations and inspiring endless fascination. Yet the truth of his identity stays just out of reach. Who do you think the Zodiac was? Share your theories in the comments below. If this mystery gripped you, give us a thumbs up and join us for more unsolved secrets. Loved this deep dive into the Zodiac killer? Subscribe to Unsolved Secrets for more chilling mysteries, and don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss a video. Check out our next unsolved case right now. Tap the screen to keep exploring. Stay curious and stay safe.